hear a little more about that and how you go about that, and whether you were in China or different countries, how the planning of that worked, kind of criteria and some of that. That to me is absolutely fascinating.
You have a lot of real estate people in this audience, so something that they may want to know more about.
Well, we had, first of all, McDonald's had a proprietary system on site selection. And we worked for years and years and years and had a lot of input and data in these computer modeling of sites. So we knew that the home, shopping, highway systems, schools, I mean, we had everything in the generators. We used to call them traffic generators. And so we could go in and model a town or a city and actually place, if we wanted 50 McDonald's in Nashville, we can pick out what we think are the 50 best locations that would work. And so we kind of took that same model and went to China. And China is kind of interesting because we went to China. First of all, there was no drive-throughs in China. And I was there.
Was none or are none?
None.
Still none.
Well, no, we invented the drive-through. But it was interesting, when you open a restaurant in China, you'd see the drive-through would be lined out to the street. They would come through the drive-through and then bring their food inside to eat.
Just for the cool factor?
Just for, they wanted the McDonald's experience.
Oh my
And,
gosh, that's so
So
fascinating.
it was just so new to them.
Yeah.
So I think we have teams in every country. Really my job on the national was giving them the support that they need. So I had real estate managers and people in every country. They had teams. I think we had 300 on the team in China that was developed in China. So it was a large team of construction, real estate professionals. And so the local leaders, we would train them we had a couple training courses at home office. We'd train them and then we'd be their contact. So I'd go visit them. So they were the source of really the direction, and they just use us for, things that they didn't know about or we could help them with. So,
Well,
so McDonald's is the third or the top real estate holding company in the world. Is it the third? I used to be the first or second and third. So we own the difference between, everybody usually asks this question. What's the difference between McDonald's and other food chains? McDonald's owns all the real estate.
Right.
So I don't, as an owner operator, I have nothing to do with the real estate. Now they can ask me if that's a good site over there or whatever. I can say yes, but they control everything. They control the leases, the purchases, everything, the buildings. So our portfolio, we're listed on the New York Stock Exchange as a realty company, not a hamburger company. So the real estate side of the business is the P&L from McDonald's on the real estate side. They mark every site up and then you pay so their profits are locked in and solid for the future. Yeah,
Why do you think no one else is taking that approach?
I think it takes a lot of money.
Okay.
It takes, it's easy to say, hey, you got the franchise for this community, go out and buy the land and do all the stuff. And you pay us a royalty fee and that's it. And, if you want the primo sites in the world, in America, you got to, step up. If you want something on Michigan Avenue, or if you want something next to a stadium or whatever it is, you got to have the firepower to handle those type of deals.
So McDonald's just setting up a head start to take that approach and get commercial.
Yeah, I mean, they squeaked by several years on, yeah. But that was a genius, but Ray Kroc and
the
actually,
founders,
yeah,
maybe the
Fred
founders.
Turner, you saw my picture with Fred. I knew him pretty well. They were really genius on how they set it up.
So besides the people, what's the hardest thing about keeping track of all the things that you have to do in a given day? Is there something that keeps you up at night besides people? Because I know people are your number one, but besides people, what's another thing that keeps you up at night?
I always like to I'm too hard on myself. So I say I'm on my tiptoes most of the time, hey, what's gonna happen? Am I gonna flunk this visit or that, or this store's gonna do bad, or I'm always worried about the operations of the restaurants, because it's such a volatile market. It's a hard labor market. You have to develop people, and so it's
So
just the
you-
frustrations and the stress of running a business that has a lot of problems.
Mhm.
I usually tell people, I got 40 restaurants, I got 40 big problems,
Always.
always. So it's
And
not,
sometimes they're actually literal fires, not just theoretical fires. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, I have a lot of questions, but I don't want to hog them, so go ahead.
So you mentioned people a couple of times. If you go into a new restaurant, a new McDonald's, you see more kiosks than people today. How is technology changing the way you do business?
That's a good question.
that's a good question. It's most customers come in and think you're decreasing the number of people.
Right.
Actually, we are increasing people when we put a kiosk in. Because if you look at during the pandemic, we have so many different Uber Eats, you've got curbside now, you've got drive-through, you got kiosks. So you're putting the stress on the kitchen. The more flows you have coming into a restaurant, the more kitchen power you need. So you might be deleting that one person on the counter, you're adding two people in the kitchen. So our labor costs have not gone down, they've probably gone up. And now we haven't figured out how to make the kitchen a lot simpler. If we can figure that out, then maybe it would help. Good question. There's somebody else back there. Yeah.
I've got a couple here if no one else ever does, but with your experience at the corporate level, what are some of the tricks of the trade that you brought to operations of your own stores without divulging trade secrets?
I think the transformation thing, and then sales building and profit. And people would be like the third one, but I go down to the penny on profit. I look at every bill. My son looks at it. The vendors. McDonald's runs on a very low profit margin. So, if you run a 10% or 15% profit margin on a McDonald's, you're doing great. So it's not, you have my average volume of a restaurant is about 2.8 million. So it's not like you have to work it to make money, or you have to charge an exorbitant amount of pricing to the consumer. And there's always pushback on, you have to be very careful on pricing and.
That play.
That's always a balance there. So. I don't know if I've answered all the questions, but.
I got someone else. How are you fighting or the rising wages right now? How is that impacting your business? What are you doing to get ahead of it and how does that look for you?
Yeah, well, our minimum, Chad, what's our minimum wage now? 15, 16?
Starting at 15.
So our average employees in the restaurant make anywhere from about $15 to $20 an hour. So, and that, we have benefits, we got 401k, we got health insurance. A lot of people look at, quick service, and it's, they think I'm paying $7.25 an hour. It's not, the market, you have to pay for good talent.
I was curious, does Hamburg University have a football team yet?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good, before a manager can become a store manager, you have to go through McDonald's, HU is what we call it. And it's a week course in Chicago, and you come out and you get a diploma from Hamburg University. And it's a kind of a big deal within the company. And you can't be a manager without it.
So what's your benchmark, your next benchmark for your 5-year plan for McDonald's and then for business wise?
Well, I've hit my 40 stores was my 5-year plan. So I keep turning to the kids and saying, where's your 5-year plan? You know, so, hey, if you want to grow it to 45 or 50, or if we want to do X, Y, Z, you know. Show me and I'll help you and guide you. So I'm kind of in that mode now.
So
where-
transition of helping them get their legs underneath them is what I'm hearing.
And they're taking a larger role in business and
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Well, I have questions offline about your land and where that is, but we could talk about that, you know, later. All right, folks, this is your chance.
I got a question. A serious question. I was just joking.
okay. That's all right. I thought it was pretty
I'm
good.
just curious with your extensive time on the corporate side and then when you transitioned as an owner, was there anything that there was an aha or something, a revelation that you took back to corporate when you, after all those years of being an operator, was there something that gave you a different perspective even back to corporate with?
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that funny?
Hundreds.
Isn't that funny how that works?
Yeah.
The
That goes
outside
on,
observer.
I was on a call today about that. Yeah, there's a lot, you know, corporate offices can be insulated, can be,
Academic.
in today's world, desktop, academic,
Theoretical.
theoretical, that's the way to do business. The real world is just the opposite.
Mhm.
So you run into that stuff every single day. And
Following on that question, so do you feel like having your years there in corporate and maybe having a little, I don't know if you want to call it status, do they listen to you more than maybe others?
you know, a lot of corporate, yeah, well, I'd say probably yes, but a lot of corporations have downsized and let their senior people go and you're dealing with people that are new to the job at corporate office.
They don't know you.
And they don't know me, they don't know Nashville. So you kind of have to re-educate people all the time and.
You see that in government a lot where you'll have the new guard come in and throw the bums out and then they get in there and they forget that all the other people there that had come before them, they had actually done a good job and it was a thankless job and they were dedicated to their job. And the new guys come in and go, oh, they were awful. And then after 6 months later, they're like, maybe they weren't as bad as we thought.
Exactly.
And maybe they're, you know, and so it takes time for that to happen. I would imagine. Do you see more of a turnover now? I know that for you, obviously that's a long time to be involved in one company. What do you see the future for that? How likely are people gonna stay in that system now as compared to when you started?
That's a great, it's such a strong company, so that we go through our cycles. And, you know, the quarterly earnings were just released. The stock is, you know, still going crazy. So the worldwide sales of the company is very, very strong. The pandemic was very beneficial for McDonald's. Inflation and hard economic times are very beneficial for McDonald's. People switch. So that's kind of like our sweet spot, actually. So, you know, the future is, you know, pretty strong. US sales are very strong. So McDonald's announced about a year ago that they're re-upping the development sites around the US and the world. So we held off for 2 or 3 years on a lot of development that we should have been doing. That's because they a little short-sighted, but like in Nashville, we probably should have 20 more sites. You know, this is an area that's grown so much.